Hello friends, welcome to Medical Duo. In today's video, we will read and explain the last chapter of 11th NCERT, that is chapter number 22, Chemical Coordination and Integration. In this video, we will read the chapter and explain the important point regarding NEET point of view. So without further delay, let us start the video. You have already learned that the neural system provides a point-to-point rapid coordination among organs. The neural coordination is fast but short-lived, as the nerve fibers do not innervate all the cells of the body and the cellular function need to be continuously regulated. A special kind of coordination and integration has to be provided. This function is carried out by hormones. The neural system and the endocrine system jointly coordinate and regulate the physiological functions in the body. Let us see the endocrine glands and hormones. Endocrine glands lack ducts and are hence called ductless glands. Their secretion are called hormones. The classical definition of hormone as a chemical produced by endocrine glands and released into the blood and transported to a distantly located target organ has current scientific definition as follows. Hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intercellular messengers and are produced in trace amount. This definition you have to remember. Hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intercellular messenger and are produced in trace amount. The new definition covers a number of new molecules in addition to the hormones secreted by the organized endocrine glands. Invertebrates possess very simple endocrine system with few hormones where a large number of chemicals act as hormones and provide coordination in the vertebrates. The human endocrine system is described here. Let us see the human endocrine system. The endocrine gland and hormones producing diffused tissue cells located in different parts of our body constitute the endocrine system. Pituitary, pineal, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas, parathyroid, thymus, and gonads, testis in males and ovary in females are the organized endocrine bodies in our body. Figure 22.1 location of endocrine gland. Here they have represented the hypothalamus, pineal, pituitary, thyroid and parathyroid glands, thymus, pancreas, adrenal gland, ovary in females and testis in male. You have to remember the sequence. First thalamus, then pineal, pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, pancreas, adrenal glands, and ovaries if female and testis in males. In addition to these, some other organs, example gastrointestinal tract, liver, kidney, heart, also produce hormones. A brief account of the structures and functions of all major endocrine glands and hypothalamus of the human body is given in the following section. Let us see the hypothalamus. As you know, the hypothalamus is the basal part of diencephalon, that is forebrain. Figure 22.1. And it regulates a wide spectrum of body functions. It contains several groups of neurosecretory cells called nuclei which produce hormones. These hormones regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary hormones. However, the hormones produced by hypothalamus are of two types: the releasing hormones which stimulate secretion of pituitary hormones and the inhibitory hormones which inhibit secretion of pituitary hormones. For example, a hypothalamic hormone called gonadotropin releasing hormone GnRH stimulates the pituitary synthesis and release of gonadotropins. On the other hand, somatostatin from the hypothalamus inhibit the release of growth hormone from the pituitary. These hormones originating in the hypothalamic neurons pass through the axon and are released from their nerve endings. These hormones reach the pituitary gland through a portal circulatory system and regulate the function of the anterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary is under the direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. Let us see the figure 22.2. Diagrammatic representation of pituitary and its relationship with hypothalamus. Here is hypothalamus and these two are hypothalamic neurons. This is the portal circulation system and posterior posterior pituitary and here is the anterior pituitary. The pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is located in a bony cavity called scala turcica and is attached to the hypothalamus by a stalk. Here you have to remember that the pituitary gland is located in a bony cavity called scala turcica and which is attached to hypothalamus by stalk. It is divided anatomically into adenohypophysis and a neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis consists of two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. The pars distalis region of pituitary, commonly called anterior pituitary, produces growth hormones, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone (ACTH), luteinizing hormone (LH), and follicle stimulating hormone (FSH). Pars intermedia secrete only one hormone called melanocyte stimulating hormone (MSH). However, in humans, the pars intermedia is almost merged with pars distalis. Neurohypophysis, pars nervosa, also known as posterior pituitary, stores and releases two hormones called oxytocin and vasopressin, which are actually synthesized by the hypothalamus and are transported axonally to neurohypophysis. Oversecretion of growth hormone stimulates abnormal growth of the body leading to gigantism. And low secretion of growth hormone results in stunted growth resulting in pituitary dwarfness. You have to remember this too. If oversecretion of growth hormone occur, then lead to gigantism. And if low secretion, then pituitary dwarfness. Excessive secretion of growth hormone in adults, especially in middle age, can result in severe disfigurement, especially of the face called acromegaly, which can lead to serious complications and premature death if unchecked. The disease is hard to diagnose in the early stage and often goes undetected for many years until changes in external features become noticeable. Prolactin regulates the growth of the mammary glands and formation of milk in them. Thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the synthesis and secretion of thyroid hormone from the thyroid gland. Adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulates the synthesis and secretion of steroid hormone called glucocorticoid. ACTH responsible for secretion of glucocorticoids from the adrenal cortex. Luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone stimulate gonadal activity and hence are called gonadotrophins. In males, luteinizing hormone stimulates the synthesis and secretion of hormone called androgen from testis. In males, FSH and androgen regulate spermatogenesis. These sentences are very important regarding exam point of view. That is, LH stimulates the synthesis and secretion of hormone called androgen from testis. In males, FSH and androgen regulate spermatogenesis, while in female, LH induces ovulation of fully matured follicle, Graafian follicle, and maintain the corpus luteum formed from the remnant of the Graafian follicle after ovulation. In male, LH and FSH help in spermatogenesis, while in female, LH help in ovulation of the mature follicle called a Graafian follicle and maintain the corpus luteum. FSH stimulates growth and development of the ovarian follicle in females. FSH long form also means the same, follicle stimulating hormone. By this you can remember the work of FSH in females. MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone, act on melanocyte, melanin containing cells and regulate pigmentation of the skin. Oxytocin acts on the smooth muscle of our body and stimulates their contraction. In female, it stimulates a vigorous contraction of uterus at the time of childbirth and milk ejection from the mammary gland. Vasopressin act mainly at the kidney and stimulate reabsorption of water and electrolyte by the distal tubes and thereby reduces loss of water through urine, diuresis. Hence, it is also called as antidiuretic hormone ADH. An impairment affecting synthesis or release of ADH result in a diminished ability of the kidney to conserve water, leading to water loss and dehydration. This condition is known as diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus is related to water loss, dehydration in the body. You have to remember the disease caused due to. Let us see the pineal gland. The pineal gland is located on the dorsal side of the forebrain. Pineal secrete a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin plays a very important role in the regulation of a 24-hour diurnal rhythm of our body. For example, it helps in maintaining the normal rhythms of the sleep-wake cycle, body temperature. In addition, melatonin also influences metabolism, pigmentation, the menstrual cycle, as well as our defense capability. Let us see the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is composed of two lobes which are located on either side of the trachea. Figure 22.3. Diagrammatic view of the position of thyroid and parathyroid. First is the ventral view and second is the dorsal view. In ventral view, it is shown that two lobes of thyroid, and here is the vocal cord and here is the trachea. In dorsal view, they represented the parathyroid glands, two pairs, 4 in number. Both the lobes are interconnected with a thin flap of connective tissue called the isthmus. The thyroid gland is composed of follicles and stromal tissue. Each thyroid follicle is composed of follicular cells enclosing a cavity. These follicular cells synthesize two hormones, tetraiodothyronine thyroxine T4 and diiodothyronine T3. Iodine is essential for the normal rate of hormone synthesis in the thyroid. Deficiency of iodine in our diet results in hypothyroidism, an enlargement of the thyroid gland commonly called goiter. Goiter means enlargement of thyroid gland. Hypothyroidism during pregnancy causes defective development and maturation of the growing baby, leading to stunted growth, cretinism, mental retardation, low intelligence quotient, abnormal skin, deaf mutism, etc. In adult women, hypothyroidism may cause menstrual cycle to become irregular due to cancer of the thyroid gland or due to development of nodules of the thyroid gland. The rate of synthesis and secretion of the thyroid hormone is increased to abnormal high level, leading to a condition called hyperthyroidism, which adversely affects the body physiology. Exophthalmic goiter is a form of hyperthyroidism characterized by enlargement of the thyroid gland, protrusion of the eyeball, increased basal metabolic rate, and weight loss, also called Graves' disease. Thyroid hormone plays an important role in the regulation of the basal metabolic rate. These hormones also support the process of red blood cell formation. Thyroid hormone controls the metabolism of carbohydrate, protein, and fats. Maintenance of water and electrolyte balance is also influenced by thyroid hormone. Thyroid gland also secrete a protein hormone called thyrocalcitonin TCT, which regulates the blood calcium levels. Let us see the parathyroid gland. In humans, 4 parathyroid glands are present on the backside of the thyroid gland. One pair each in two lobes of the thyroid gland, figure 22.3b as we see in the dorsal view. The parathyroid gland secrete a peptide hormone called parathyroid hormone PTH. The secretion of parathyroid hormone is regulated by the circulating level of calcium ions. Parathyroid hormone increases the calcium levels in the blood, and PTH act on bones and stimulate the process of bone resorption, dissolution, demineralization. PTH also stimulates reabsorption of calcium by the renal tubules and increase calcium absorption from the digested food. It is thus that PTH is a hypercalcemic hormone, that is, it increases the blood calcium level. Along with TCT, it plays a significant role in calcium balance in the body. Let us see the thymus. The thymus gland is a lobular structure located between lungs, behind sternum, on the ventral side of aorta. The thymus plays a major role in the development of the immune system. This gland secretes the peptide hormone called thymosin. Thymosin plays a major role in the differentiation of T lymphocytes, which provide cell-mediated immunity. In addition, thymosin also promotes production of antibodies to provide humoral immunity. Thymus is degenerated in old individuals, resulting in a decreased production of thymosin. As a result, the immune response of old person becomes weak. So for immune response, the hormone responsible is thymosin. Adrenal gland. Our body has one pair of adrenal glands, one at the anterior part of each kidney, figure 22.4a. Diagrammatic representation of adrenal gland above the kidney, and second is section showing two parts of the adrenal gland. Here they have represented the kidney, and above the kidney the adrenal gland is present. And two sectional views of adrenal gland. First is adrenal cortex outer part and adrenal medulla inner part. The gland is composed of two types of tissue. The centrally located tissue is called the adrenal medulla, and outside this lies the adrenal cortex. Underproduction of hormone by the adrenal cortex alter carbohydrate metabolism, causing acute weakness, fatigue, and leading to a disease called adenosine disease. The adrenal medulla secretes two hormones called adrenaline or epinephrine, or non-adrenaline or non-epinephrine. These are commonly called the catecholamines. Adrenaline and non-adrenaline are rapidly secreted in response to stress of any kind and during pregnancy emergency situation, and are called emergency hormones or hormones of fight or flight. These hormones increase alertness, pupillary dilation, piloerection, rising of hairs, sweating, etc. Both the hormones increase the heartbeat, the strength of heart contraction, and the rate of respiration. Catecholamines also stimulate the breakdown of glycogen, resulting in an increased concentration of glucose in blood. In addition, they also stimulate the breakdown of lipids and protein. The adrenal cortex can be divided into three layers called zona reticularis, inner layer, zona fasciculata, middle layer, and zona glomerulosa, outer layer. You have to remember the name, that is zona reticularis, means inner layer, zona fasciculata, middle layer, and zona glomerulosa, outer layer. The adrenal cortex secretes many hormones commonly called corticoids. The corticoids which are involved in carbohydrate metabolism are called glucocorticoids. In our body, cortisol is the main glucocorticoid. Corticoids which regulate the balance of water and electrolyte in our body are called mineralocorticoids. Aldosterone is the main mineralocorticoid in our body. Glucocorticoids stimulate gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, and proteolysis, and inhibit cellular uptake and utilization of amino acid. Cortisol is also involved in maintaining the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney functions. Glucocorticoid, particularly cortisol, produce anti-inflammatory reactions and suppress the immune response. Cortisol stimulates the RBC production. Aldosterone acts mainly at the renal tubules and stimulates the reabsorption of sodium and water and excretion of potassium and phosphate ion. Thus, aldosterone helps in the maintenance of the electrolyte, body fluid volume, osmotic pressure, and blood pressure. Small amounts of androgenic steroids are also secreted by the adrenal cortex, which play a role in the growth of axial hair, pubic hair, and facial hair during puberty. Pancreas. Pancreas is a composite gland, figure 22.1, which acts as both exocrine and endocrine. So you have to remember that pancreas is a composite gland, that is both exocrine and endocrine gland. The endocrine pancreas consists of isolate of Langerhans There are about 1 to 2 million isolate of Langerhans in a normal human. Pancreas representing only 1 to 2% of the pancreatic tissue. The two main types of cells is the islet of Langerhans are called alpha cells and beta cells. The alpha cells secrete hormone called glucagon. Alpha cells secrete glucagon while the beta cells secrete insulin. Glucagon is a peptide hormone. You have to remember this, that glucagon is a peptide hormone and plays an important role in maintaining the normal blood glucose levels. Glucagon acts mainly on the liver cell hepatocyte and stimulates glucogenolysis. Glucagon stimulates glucogenolysis, resulting in an increased blood sugar hyperglycemia. Glucagon acts mainly on the liver cells hepatocytes and stimulates glycogenolysis, resulting in an increased blood sugar hyperglycemia. In addition, this hormone stimulates the process of gluconeogenesis, that is, glucagon also helps in gluconeogenesis, which also contributes to hyperglycemia. Here you have to remember that glucagon secreted by hepatocyte, which helps or stimulate glycogenolysis and also stimulate the gluconeogenesis, which cause the increase of glucose hyperglycemia in blood. Glucagon reduce the cellular glucose uptake and utilization. Thus, glucagon is a hyperglycemic hormone. This cause reduce the cellular uptake of glucose while it increase the blood glucose level. So it is called a hyperglycemic hormone. Insulin is a peptide. As glucagon is a peptide hormone, also insulin is a peptide hormone which play a major role in the regulation of glucose homeostasis. Insulin acts mainly on hepatocyte and adipocytes, cells of adipose tissue, and enhance cellular glucose uptake and utilization. As a result, there is a rapid movement of glucose from the blood to the hepatocyte and adipocytes, resulting in decreased blood glucose level, hypoglycemia. Insulin also stimulates conversion of glucose to glycogenesis in the target cells. The glucose homeostasis in blood is thus maintained jointly by the two insulin and glucagon. Prolonged hyperglycemia leads to a complex disorder called diabetes mellitus, which is associated with loss of glucose through urine and formation of harmful compounds known as ketone bodies. Diabetic patients are successfully treated with insulin therapy. Let us see the testis. A pair of testes is present in the scrotal sac outside abdomen of male individuals. Figure 22.1. Testis perform dual function as a primary sex organ as well as endocrine gland. Testis is composed of seminiferous tubules and scrotal or interstitial tissue. The Leydig cells and interstitial cells which are present in the intertubular spaces produce a group of hormones called androgen, mainly testosterone. Androgens regulate the development, maturation, and function of the male accessory sex organ like epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicle, prostate gland, urethra, etc. These hormones stimulate muscular growth of facial and axillary hairs, aggressiveness, low pitch of voice, etc. Androgens play a major stimulatory role in the process of spermatogenesis, formation of spermatozoa, that is sperm. Androgens act on the central nervous system and influence the male sexual behavior called libido. Male sexual behavior is called as libido. You have to remember. These hormones produce anabolic synthetic effect on protein and carbohydrate metabolism. Ovary. Female have a pair of ovaries located in the abdomen. Figure 22.1. We seen earlier the figure 22.1. Ovary is the primary female sex organ as testis in male, which produce one ovum during each menstrual cycle. In addition, ovary also produce two groups of steroid hormone called estrogen and progesterone. Ovary is composed of ovarian follicle and stromal tissue. The estrogen is synthesized and secreted mainly by the growing ovarian follicle. After ovulation, the ruptured follicle is converted to a structure called a corpus luteum, which secretes mainly progesterone. Estrogen produce wide-ranging actions such as stimulation of growth and activities of female secondary sex organ, development of growing ovarian follicle, appearance of female secondary sex character. Example, high-pitched voice is present in female and low-pitched voice in male. Mammary glands development. Estrogen also regulate female sexual behavior. Progesterone supports pregnancy. Progesterone also acts on the mammary gland and stimulates the formation of alveoli, sac-like structure which store milk and milk secretion. Let us see hormones of heart, kidney, and gastrointestinal tract. Now you know about the endocrine gland and their hormone. However, as mentioned earlier, hormones are also secreted by some tissue which are not endocrine glands. For example, the atrial wall of our heart secretes a very important peptide hormone called atrial natriuretic factor (ANF), which decreases blood pressure. When blood pressure is increased, atrial natriuretic factor is secreted which causes dilation of the blood vessels. This reduces the blood pressure. The juxtaglomerular cells of kidney produce a peptide hormone called erythropoietin. JG cells secrete a hormone called erythropoietin which stimulates erythropoiesis, formation of RBC. Endocrine cells present in different parts of the gastrointestinal tract secrete four major peptide hormones, namely gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, and gastric inhibitory peptide GIP. Gastrin acts on the gastric glands and stimulates the secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsinogen. Secretin acts on the exocrine pancreas and stimulates secretion of water and bicarbonate ions. Cholecystokinin acts on both pancreas and gallbladder and stimulates the secretion of pancreatic enzyme and bile juice, respectively. GIP inhibits gastric secretion and motility. Several other non-endocrine tissues secrete hormones called growth factors. These factors are essential for the normal growth of the tissue and their repairing and regeneration. Let us see the mechanism of hormone action. Hormones produce their effect on the target tissue by binding to specific proteins called hormone receptors located in the target tissue only. Hormone receptors present on the cell membrane of the target cells are called membrane-bound receptor, and the receptor present inside the target cell are called intracellular receptor, mostly nuclear receptor present in the nucleus. Binding of a hormone to its receptor leads to a formation of a hormone receptor complex. Figure 22.5 A and B represent the hormone receptor complex. A first is protein hormone and second is the steroid hormone. In protein hormone, they represented that hormone example is FSH. Here is the receptor present on the ovarian cell membrane. And here is the first response produced, generation of second messenger by cyclic AMP or calcium ions, biochemical responses, then physiological responses, example ovarian growth. Here is the hormone, example is estrogen, which enters inside the uterine cell membrane. Hormone receptor complex is formed inside the nucleus. Here is a genome, mRNA, protein, physiological response, tissue growth and differentiation. Each receptor is specific to one hormone only and hence receptors are specific. hormone receptor complex formation lead to certain biochemical changes in the target tissue. Target tissue metabolism and hence physiological functions are regulated by hormones. On the basis of their chemical nature, hormones can be divided into groups. First is peptide, polypeptide, protein hormone. Example is insulin, glucagon, pituitary hormone, hypothalamic hormone, etc. Second is steroids, cortisol, testosterone, estradiol, and progesterone. You have to remember the steroid and their example, peptide, polypeptide, protein, and the example. Iodothyronins, thyroid hormone, amino acid derivative, epinephrine. Hormone which interact with membrane-bound receptor normally do not enter the target cell but generate second messengers. Example cyclic AMP, IP3, calcium ion, etc., which in turn regulates cellular metabolism. Figure 22.5a. Hormones which interact with intercellular receptor, example steroid hormone, iodothyronins, etc., mostly regulate gene expression or chromosome function by the interaction of hormone receptor complex with the genome. Cumulative biochemical actions result in physiological and developmental effects. We have seen the figure. In this way we completed the reading. Let us see the last part of the chapter, summary of this chapter. There are special chemicals which act as hormone and provide chemical coordination, integration and regulation in the human body. These hormones regulate metabolism, growth and development of our organs. The endocrine glands of certain cells. The endocrine system is composed of hypothalamus, pituitary and pineal, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas, parathyroid, thymus and gonad, testis and ovary. In addition to this, some other organs, example gastrointestinal tract, kidney, heart, etc., also produce hormone. The pituitary gland is divided into three major parts, which are called as pars distalis, pars intermedia, pars nervosa. Pars distalis produce 6 tropic hormones. Pars intermedia secrete only one hormone, while pars nervosa, neurohypophysis, secrete 2 hormones. The pituitary hormone regulates the growth and development of somatic tissue and activities of peripheral endocrine glands. Pineal gland secrete melatonin, which play a very important role in the regulation of 24-hour diurnal rhythm of our body. Example, rhythm of sleep and state of being awake, body temperature, etc. The thyroid gland hormones play an important role in the regulation of the basal metabolic rate, development and maturation of the central nervous system, erythropoiesis, metabolism of carbohydrate, protein and fat, menstrual cycle. Another thyroid hormone, that is thyrocalcitonin, regulates calcium levels in our blood by decreasing it. The parathyroid gland secretes parathyroid hormone which increase the blood calcium level and play a major role in calcium homeostasis. The thymus gland secretes thymosin which play a major role in the differentiation of T lymphocyte, which provides cell-mediated immunity. T lymphocyte provides cell-mediated immunity. In addition, thymosin also increases the production of antibodies to provide humoral immunity, and the adrenal gland composed of the centrally located adrenal medulla and the outer adrenal cortex. The adrenal medulla secretes epinephrine and non-epinephrine. These hormones increase alertness, pupillary dilation, piloerection, sweating, heartbeat, strength of heart contraction, rate of respiration, glycogenolysis, lipolysis, proteolysis. The adrenal cortex secretes glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Glucocorticoids stimulate gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, proteolysis, erythropoiesis, cardiovascular system, blood pressure, glomerular filtration rate, and inhibit inflammatory reaction by suppressing the immune response. Mineralocorticoids regulate water and electrolyte content of the body. The endocrine pancreas secrete glucagon and insulin. Glucagon stimulates glucogenolysis and gluconeogenesis, resulting in hyperglycemia. Insulin stimulates cellular glucose uptake and utilization, and glucogenesis, resulting in hypoglycemia. Insulin deficiency and or insulin resistance result in a disease called a diabetes mellitus. Diabetes insipidus is due to water, while diabetes mellitus occurs due to insulin deficiency. You have to remember this. The testis secrete androgen which stimulate the development, maturation, and functions of the male accessory sex organ. Appearance of the male secondary sex character, spermatogenesis, male sexual behavior, anabolic pathway, and erythropoiesis. The ovaries secrete estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen stimulates growth and development of the female accessory sex organ and secondary sex character. Progesterone plays a major role in the maintenance of pregnancy as well as in mammary gland development and lactation. The atrial wall of the heart produces atrial natriuretic factor which decreases the blood pressure. Kidney produce erythropoietin which stimulates erythropoiesis. The gastrointestinal tract secretes gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, and gastric inhibitory peptide. These hormones regulate the secretion of digestive juices and help in digestion. In this way, we completed the reading of chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration. If you liked the video, then don't forget to subscribe to Medical Duo to get more update about another chapters of NCERT.